Morning, everyone. Jai Guru. Welcome to another divine session done.
It's 11 o'clock.
By the Divine Mother, our Gurus, Babaji, Krishna, Yoga Kshema Vahamba. Every time I think of Krishna, it's Yoga Kshema Vahamba. Whatever you wish, if you surrender to me, I shall not only grant you, I shall not only give you, fulfill your wishes, but I shall carry it on my head and bring it for you. Isn't that wonderful? I told you the story on Thursday about Jagannath Mishra. He didn't believe it. He was a Pandit. And he cut it off. He said, it cannot be Vaham Vaham. It must be Vaham Deva. I'll grant it to you. I'll give it to you. And then he was leaving, no breakfast, no food to eat at home. Poor Brahman Pandit, very Pandit, great Pandit, great devotee. Why says no food? He says God will give it. And he goes off to work. And a little later, a young boy, very pretty, handsome boy, comes in carrying the whole thing, all the rations and the groceries and fruits and vegetables. And the wife says, who has sent it? He said, your husband. Really? She was very pleased. And then she notices there's a deep cut in his cheek. And she said, who's done that to you? He puts his head down and he says, your husband. She said, what? Couldn't believe. And when Jagannath Mishra comes back, lunchtime, and smells beautiful food, and as he's about to sit down, wife very angrily says, how could you cut that boy's cheek? He's carried your food. You made him do that, is it? Jagannath Mishra says, what boy? And then when he hears the story, he realizes it is the Krishna himself. And what was that cut? That was the part which he had cut it in the Bhagavad Gita, saying this cannot be. It is not possible. Why should God carry for a devotee? He will grant it. And then he went back and corrected that statement. So may you all have a beautiful life ahead with a great morning. Let's have a sessions today. We have a very interesting session. Before we start, let's start with our prayer. Om. Asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityarma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Morning again. May our Gurus, Paramahansa Yogananda, Sri Yukteswar Giri Lahiri Mahasaya, bless us all. May Swami Vivekananda, Holy Mother Sharada, Paramahansa Ramakrishna speak through us and exchange and make you aware. Chaitana, bless us. Whenever Paramahansa Ramakrishna, somebody went and touched his feet, he used to say, Tumhara Chaitanya ho. Chaitana. Chaitanya is the understanding comes from consciousness. Consciousness is there with everyone in this whole world. But we are dealing from it. Let's start off. We got a very interesting session today. And that is about this samsara, in which we are aging, we are growing, we are strifes and suffering, and eventually growing old and dying, possibly rebirth again. And during this, there is anger and jealousy and greed and love and passion and attraction and hatred and distractions. Our pluses and minuses are making our life yes, 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 no, no, no. And we are choosing. And those things that you like, we wish to grab hold of them in, is the samsara. Which you don't like, we want to stay away from it. And this is as per, we are going ahead with the discussions on the 3rd chapter of the Mandakya Upanishad, verse 31 and 32, in which Govindapada, around 1600 years before, Shankaracharya's Guru Govindapada, and Guru's Guru is Govindapada to Gaurapada. Gaurapada has been known by the Vedantist, was absolutely surrendered to God, and he was fearless. In fact, he used to be called Akkar Maharaj. Akkar in the Himalayas is called to those sannyasi who are totally devoted and surrendered to God. I often remember one monk was saying, they get only one food at a time in a day. And some of the places you got a little shelter where government gives you one apple somewhere during the day and maybe a glass of milk somewhere around 4 o'clock. One meal around 12 o'clock. And the monks, they lead such a tough life only for one thing. The goal is to become one with God and know God and realize Brahman as per Advaita Vedanta. So they say, Kabhi ghee ghana, meaning the food is so rich with ghee. They're talking about their lunch. Kabhi ghee ghana, kabhi mutti bhar chana. You get only one fistful of chana. Kabhi wo bhi mana, nothing. And you have to beg your food. So there is this, you've heard about the monks living in the Himalayas, very high up in Tapovan, above Gomukhi Gangotri. So there was one Tapovan Muni. He was very famous, and he has been a teacher of some of the very famous monks that you all have heard about. He was very choosy about who does it train. So the people had to come down and be there for 1 month, 30 days under training, and he would choose whether I will continue to train you or not. And every day there are 2 classes. Before the classes, you have to go down, beg your food. And in that Tapovan, where is the begging? Where are the people? There are hardly nobody almost. And then he will come down and teach them, take 2 classes. And every word that he speaks, the monks, brahmacharis who are under training, has to repeat it verbatim the next day. If you don't, you're out. That kind of concentration, focused mind is necessary. So there is this very famous monk under training who was a journalist. He went to do a little write-up on him, and when he met him and he was so impressed, he took to sannyas. He left the world and became a sannyasi. During this training, one day he asked that if Brahman is everything, and Brahman is this world, and Brahman is me, then what is the need for all this world being here? And these houses, and these features, the people, where is the requirement? We are Brahman, we are God. Meaning, basically this question comes to you whenever you have seriously taken up Vedanta. Where is the need? If I am Brahman, why do I have to suffer then? I'm God. So, Tapovan Muni did not say anything. He kept quiet, didn't answer. Next day, as the session started, Tapovan Muni asked him, same monk, he was brahmachari then, get me some water to drink. Get me some water to drink. The young brahmachari goes down to the river Ganga, and he had taken a kalas and took the kalas filled with water and brought it back. As he came back, Tapovan Muni said he was visibly very upset and angry. He said, what have you done? He said, sorry, sir. He said, I asked you for water. What have you brought? He said, I brought water. He said, what are you holding in your hand? He said, kamandul. He said, did I ask you to bring kamandul? And then immediately it struck the monk. Okay, this is why this world is necessary. It's the presence of not just the Brahman, but the Prakriti who makes the world through Maya for you and I to be engulfed into this Maya, the samsara. And this is the samsara which we are going to talk about today in Gaurapada's, in the first karika, first chapter of, let's get on to the slides. That's correct. So, the topic today is no mind. What is no mind? When I was thinking about it, some people were saying no mind. What does that mean? Does it mean that you are not going to think anymore? No mind meaning mind is for thinking and remembering, or is it not being unconscious? No mind meaning unconscious. These are the kind of feelings which goes in. We are going to talk about this no mind. It's a very powerful, beautiful topic. Gaudapada, about 1600 years ago, we talked about it. We have covered these parts earlier on. In the first talk, we had talked about, excuse me. Okay. We had talked about, based on the first chapter of the Mandukya Upanishad, essence of all Vedanta. Mandukya, as you know, is in Bengali, they call it Dhani Lanka. You know, the tiny, I've seen it in other places in India, Assam, Hyderabad, very famous. Bird's eye chili, so small, but it's so spicy. I used to be quite fond of eating chili. And if you take one tiny slice with a blade, if you put that, you will be doing It's so spicy. And Mandukya Upanishad is called that Dhani Lanka, that the bird's eye chili. It's so powerful and packed with things. In the essence of all Vedanta is in there in the first chapter. In the second chapter, which we had talked about, is the ultimate truth. We talked about in that ultimate truth is the world is not real. It appears to be real. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya was based on the second chapter. On the third chapter, Gaudapada is telling that this samsara, this world around us, what is samsara? Our desires, our cravings, our love, our compassions, our gathering and earning money and making relationships and people, and then making families, and side by side, raga dhyasha, raga dvesha, and likes and dislikes. What we don't like, we want to stay away from it. What we like, we wish to grab hold of it and keep things near us. And all the time these, and side by side, Jayate, Asti, these are the 6 stages of the body. Vartate, Viparit Nakshate, and Nashate. We born, we sustain, we grow, we age, and then we die. And everything. I was just reading a letter from one of the gentlemen who's shifted from UK. He's about 80 now. And he said, I had stored my father's furniture so dear to me. Just think, I'd kept those furnitures and so many books, very good, quite a philosopher and a reader, and he was a professor in UK. I have stored them. My wife died 3 years ago. She used to take care of all of that. I'm alone. My son wants to come and live with me. And he did come. But I could see that I'm being a pain in the neck. So the only answer for me is to go to the old age home. What will I do with all these books and furniture and property and the money in the bank and the land and asset? And only answer is old age home. So yours and our journey is not to go through those changes of the physical ages, but to understand from there who we truly are. And this samsara, get away from the samsara, the bandhan, the bondage of the samsara, is, as per Gaudapada, he goes ahead in the third chapter, called, in the Karika, he is Advaita Prakarana, in which he is explaining that this samsara is because of duality. And moksha, nirvana, is non-duality. You will say, why is samsara duality? The moment I oriented myself, not with Brahman as an Advaitavadi, but with my body and my name and my form, Nama, Rupa, Bhavahara, name, form, and function. The moment I do that, I stand separate from everyone. My experience is what? Object and subject. I'm the subject, I'm the drashta, and the drishya is everything. The people, the places, the things, everything is a drishya now. I'm separate from you. Why? Because I'm this body, this is my name. I'm a man, I'm a woman. And this is what is the aspect of dealt in the third chapter chapter 3, verse 31 and 32, where Gaudapada is explaining that this separation comes from mind. It is the mind which makes us separate and aligns ourselves with the Nama Rupa Bhavara, mind, body, and name. And the moment you go to freedom, moksha, it is the state of no mind. You say, how can it be? Why is it? Let us see our experiences. What is the power of the Advaita Vedanta? If Advaita Vedanta does not tell you, have faith, book says so. Advaita Vedanta always takes you, experience it. And when you experience it, you say yes, like you experience, I am. With this, you have no doubt that I exist. A gathering, going around, a big meeting, great speaker has come. Somebody asks you, very present? You say, yes, I was there. If he asks you, how do you know that? Would you say that, no, I signed there, or I had done my electronic swiping, or my eye scanner will tell you the data? You say, I know I was there. It's just like that. I often ask our boys and girls students, do you know that you are a girl? Do you know that you're a boy? They say, yes. You know that you're not a donkey or a monkey, that you're a human child. I said, yes. I say, how do you know that? Then they start to think, we just know it. I say, how? Just like that, you and I have to realize that we are not this name, body, and form. That is because of mind. The moment we align ourselves away from it, it's called no mind. Manaso avani bhavi. This is the 31st verse. We will read it out. So where we realize that Jagat is mithya in the 2nd chapter, and in 3rd chapter, it's saying that this samsara is because of mind, duality. And moksha, nirvana, is no mind, non-duality. This is samsara, is the bondage. And Advaita, moksha, is freedom from the bondage. All of us would like freedom from suffering. Suffering is samsara. The moment we separation, the moment I stand separated, I invite suffering. The great masters who are enlightened, awakened, have become Brahman. They do not stop having their name and form and function. Jesus Christ, Buddha, Paramahansa Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharshi, Vivekananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, they didn't discard their body, but there was a difference. They knew that I'm not this body, but they continue to function. They continue to recognize other people, other disciples. Paramahansa Ramakrishna knew this is Vivekananda and this is Brahmananda. Continue to act at their level while knowing all the time, I am not this. It reminds me of the famous example of Hari Maharaj, Turiya Maharaj. Paramahansa Ramakrishna took on many people, their sicknesses and disease, throat cancer, can't eat. Turiya Maharaj sees in the morning in Kashipur garden. We are lucky to have gone and visited that place. He says, Thakur, how are you feeling today? Kemon acho? He says, my throat is paining. I can't eat anything. Naturally, such a big lump in the throat, cancerous growth. 3 days later, he died. He left his body. Hari Maharaj, Turiya Maharaj, he was then very young. He said, but Thakur, but looking at you, it looks you are blissful. You're happy. Hell of a thing to say to a cancer patient going to die. Everybody, doctor has given up hope. Isn't it? What did it mean? It meant Paramahamsa Ramakrishna, instead of you and I will say, can't you see? Do you know what suffering I have got? All that stuff. He didn't say that. He smiled and he said, rascal has caught me. Shala dhore peleche. It caught me. That means that separation from the body and the name and the form. There, he is sustaining it a different world. And this is what is the subject-object duality, is the samsara, freedom from it. What does it give? Rise to differences and separation is the root. Just see two good friends, husband, wife, parent, child, much that they love each other. Where is the conflict? Samsara is conflict. I don't like this. I don't eat that. I hate it. I love that. This is the difference, is from the mind. The mind is all the time doing this. And this mind has come from, as per Vedanta, from your previous birth and your karma till this birth, from the time you've grown up and in your previous birth, which has become your samskara. With that samskara, you are performing and making this samsara around you, causing strifes and struggles. Nobody wants it. Everybody wants freedom from it. So to do that freedom, we have to come to a stage called no mind. Samsara is mind. Duality is mind. Non-duality is freedom, is no mind. If you look carefully, this duality, is it there? What is our, who are we? We have this waking experience. Right now, I'm talking to you, you're listening. Waking, Jagrat, Mandakya Upanishad. Second state is Swapna, dreaming state. In the Jagrat state, is there duality? Yes, I'm separate, you're separate, this book is separate. Everything, Sachara, around whatever it is separate from me. In the waking. In the dream, is there duality? Yes, there is. I'm experiencing the world with my mind, with my body, and everybody else is separate. I may get $1 million or a crore in a lottery. I may be counting, but I cannot put deposits in the bank when I wake up. Of course, one more lucky thing is I don't have to pay tax for it either. Dream state also, there is duality. Then comes the deep sleep state. In the deep sleep state, in Jagrat, there is duality, there is separation, there is samsara. Dream state, also duality, there is samsara. And when I wake up, I realize, oh, everything was there, whether the mountain or the ocean or the dance or the party or the lion chasing me, or I saw a dinosaur T-Rex or a beautiful, palatial building or a wonderful friend, very pretty girl or a handsome man. Everything was construed by my mind. That ocean was also by my mind. Mountain was also by mind. That is in the dream state. When I wake up, I say, oh, I had a good dream or I had a bad dream. It was all because of your mind. Now come to deep sleep state. In the deep sleep state, you have no mind. So you have no experiences. And you have a deep sleep, very peaceful sleep. And that's how when you wake up, otherwise you have disturbed sleep. Now when you wake up from deep sleep, you feel so fresh and calm. Was there any mind there? Was there any duality? As if you would feel, no, it was not. And you'd love to be there. What else is people who take sleeping drugs, escapism through alcohol, getting drunk and going into stupor, they forget when you wake up from that stupor, from that unconscious state, you are still coming back to the same world, to the same body, to the same health or sickness, or same financial problem or financial health, same relationship. Have you heard of it so many times that the husband and wife fight and the wife leaves the house and runs away, or husband sits there and opens up a bottle and in the picture you see they're drinking away. What are they doing? Trying to escape this samsara. What is that samsara? Conflicts of mind. The no mind state is the nirvana, is bodhisattva, buddha, paramahamsa, moksha, kaivalya, many names. In that state, the mind becomes no mind. How do we attain that? Everybody would love to attain it. We will get to it progressively. This is why people tend to go to the deep sleep. And people, why? The moment they're in trouble, they want to go off to sleep. Think, okay, now it'll be out of my mind. It doesn't. It's just a metaphor. You have to get up, you have to face that world. With the same situation, you're back again. The freedom from samsara is to get away from the duality, practice it in everyday morning meditation, during the breathing technique. As you breathe in, oneness. As you breathe out, I've given those cues. Breathe out lies, mithya. Breathe out separation. Breathe out alas, laziness. Morning, tring, tring, alarm is ringing, 3:30, I have to get up. You say, little bit more. Laziness. The moment you press that sign for a little snooze, gone, 5 o'clock. Oh my God, I lost today. Tomorrow I will not do it. Who's playing with you? Your mind is playing with you. Little more. I need a little more sleep. Body is playing with you. Body and the mind against that conscious decision which you had taken. So when the duality vanishes and merges as one with a non-dual, the samsara vanishes and non-duality is that moksha. It's very interesting to notice this particular Buddhist impressions says, in the Himalaya, one of the monks says that samsara is like a jail, and you are in that jail. Separation and the cause of all suffering is to get away from the samsara. It doesn't mean, please take it, understand. Samsara is not run away from life, not run away from family, not run away from job, not run away to the mountain and the cave. Vivekananda's very famous words. Those who have run away to the mountains of the caves and doing meditation and thinking, I am going to merge with God over here, has missed the boat. And those who are plunged in headlong into the samsara and forgotten all spiritual practices, and only for money and name and form and children and grandchildren and wife and husband, they too have missed the boat. So be in the samsara, Vivekananda advises. This is what Gaudapada is telling to. Be in the samsara, but go beyond that mind. How do we do that? What is the answer? Let us understand. This is what we did in the Deepavali. What was the Deepavali? To know that function was to remind us that remove from bondage by giving, by liberating, by becoming one, and consider everybody else as you. You're not doing a great gift by thinking, I am the rich guy to give a gift. No, you have been the chosen one to be able to give. It's a great boon. So there's a very famous statement, in the rat race, I'm the winner. Just think, in a rat race, even if I win and earn that $1 million, I'm still a rat, isn't it? Why be a rat? The duality is the functioning of the mind, and it is in the Vedanta, it explained very simply and beautifully, is the metaphor, is the simile, is the rope and the snake. All right, I know it is not a snake. I've thrown the light of my wisdom. I've learned it, whether it was mobile light or I know it now, it's not a snake. It's only a rope. So what was in reality snake? Snake actually merges back with the rope, isn't it? The rope doesn't become snake. The rope doesn't become poisonous because it became snake. No, it appearance as a snake. And the moment the light of knowingness comes in, it automatically merges back with the rope and becomes the rope. It hasn't changed, it appeared. So what happens in the no mind to the mind state? Yogis say, go into samadhi. And in the samadhi, you have yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, eightfold stage, pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses, dharana, focusing your mind, dhyana, 12 seconds if you hold on to one single thought, as per Patanjali Yoga Sutra. It's called one bit of dharana, 1 unit of dharana, 12 seconds. 12 seconds of 12 times 12 seconds. If you can hold on, that's 144 seconds. It's called 1 unit of dhyana. And if you can do 12 units of dhyana, it's one samadhi. It's about 28 minutes, some second. It comes to, that's one samadhi. Holding on to one, that lamp you've seen in many books, not flickering at all. It's like I'm holding a big bowl of water filled to the brim. When I'm in no mind state, I don't move at all. Reminds me of those rifle shooters, bows and arrow shooters. You know, they look down at the green grass. As they look up, they have to do pranayam. And they have to hold their body still. One of the Olympic gold medalists in rifle shooting says, you'll be surprised when you go into the target shooting, you will realize how much is our body all the time moving. And that movement is because of the mind. Mind is restless. Have you noticed? Most of us people looking there, looking there, looking there, looking there, looking here. What is there? What is there? Who's wearing what? Eyes. This is why you close it. 5 senses, you close it to get into those pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi state. So samadhi is the answer to go beyond mind and become no mind state. Yes, it does. Gaudapada does not agree. Yes, you do good to samadhi. You do enjoy that no mind state. And there is a beginning of samadhi. There is an end of samadhi. Samadhi is wisdom, is knowledge. Everything else is an experience. Experience and knowledge, they have a different. We've spoken about it. Recollect, it has a beginning, it has an end. Then why isn't Gaudapada agreeing? Very simple. We need to understand this state called the no mind state. We have to understand. How do we do that? Gaudapada says the answer is Viveka. This question was asked by Paramahansa Ramakrishna to Paramahansa Ramakrishna by Master M. And notice the level of the question. There are universities abroad where how well have you learned is not decided by how do you answer a question, but it is decided by what question can you formulate on that topic. How, simple but deep-rooted answers. If you can make questions like that, then it is expected that you have truly learned. There are universities who goes ahead and does the assessment based on this. Gaudapada says it is the discrimination, Viveka. From there came the Vivekananda. So what did Paramahansa Ramakrishna say? What was the question? Question by Master M was, how do I fix my mind onto God? Ishware mon kamon kore hoy. Notice what a smart question. He could have easily said, Thakur, how will I realize God? How can I see God? Paramahansa Ramakrishna would have said, possibly, think about God all the time. But now the next question comes, okay, sir, but how do I think of God all the time? Have love for God. He would have answered. Vyakulata, he said, craziness for God. If you have all the time thinking like a toothache of God, 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 all the time, whatever you do, my husband is God, my wife is God, my children are God, my thing is God, this clock is God. Vyakulata and Anurag, love. Vishwaya Virag, Ishware Anurag. Paramahansa Ramakrishna's short, very simple word, but it means the mountain. If you follow those, what our great masters have left behind for us, you will attain this no mind state. So, how do you fix your mind into God? Mon kamon kore hoy. And Paramahansa Ramakrishna made very simple 3 sentences. Always think of God, answer 1, and gunogan korbe. Talk about good things about God, or knowing more to challenge God. But we say, Shravanam, Mananam. Mananam is that challenging, asking question. It is not to insult or lack of shraddha, lack of respect. You're wanting to know more. First is think and talk about God all the time. Read about God all the time. That is Shravanam, Mananam. Then he says, Dhyan kurbe, mone, bone, kone. You will meditate in your mind, in a corner of a forest, in the corner of your house. Many people think if I go down to a riverbed, sit on a rock, I'll meditate better. Or in the forest, I'll meditate better. A mountain, I need to go to the mountain to meditate better. At the moment you go to a beautiful nature, you feel like, sure, it is nice, it is good, but there is something called tanmatra, the vibration of the place. If the vibration is good, yes, you will. But generally speaking, if you have chosen in your own house a corner, a pious corner, and treat it like that, make the same time, make the same asana, sit your postures right. Remember holding that bowl brimmed with water, that's my mind. I shall not move. I shall stay steady. Hilo mat, like a sergeant say in the army. Socho mat, how do you do no thinking? If you do that, fix your mind, you will see beautiful light, divine light will come, which is the light of the consciousness. Remember reflective consciousness, sunlight falling on the moonlight. And notice the tricky thing. Full moonlight, sunlight falling on the moon. Moon is lighting up the earth. We love that moonlight, full moonlight. What happens in lunar eclipse? We have gone over this before, refreshing. The whole moon turns towards the sun. Sun is falling on the moon. You can't see the sun, but it is falling on the moon. And the moonlight going back to the sun. But you know, moonlight is too small to light up the sun. But what is happening? In eclipse, lunar eclipse is Kaivalya, is moksha. Whatever comes, you turn your back to the earth. What is earth? Earth is this world, this samsara. Turn your back. Though you are there, but your mind is gone off from there. So, recollecting in the no mind, Advaita Prakaran is on the non-duality, in which coming back, Paramahansa Ramakrishna's third answer, thank you, telling me, I could hear somebody was saying, what about the third one? The first one is, always think about God, talk good things about God, think about God, read about God. Second, even if you're doing your work, your professional thing, know I'm doing it for God. Whether you're cooking or you're writing or you're doing programming, this is God has placed me in this job. Second, meditate in your mind all the time, in the corner of a forest, corner of your house. And third, Gaurapada's ears will perk up, is what Paramahansa Ramakrishna said. Always discriminate with your viveka. What is real, what is not real in this samsara. What is true, what is not true. Discard what is not true. Vairag. This is not real. And hold on to the reality. And this is why Vivekananda was called Vivekananda. So, going into the object-subject discriminations in order to attain moksha, going into a deep sleep state is no, is not. Duality and the samsara exist in deep sleep too. In this, Shankaracharya is in his Karika comment, he's saying, just like freedom from sickness is good health. Our natural state is health, not sickness. Many of us say, I am like that. I have this backache. I have this knee pain. Don't understand. Now, our natural state is good health. Our intention of Kriya Yoga and Advaita Vedanta is to retain that good state of mind and the body and our actions. Automatically, you will see that you will enjoy those good things. Your mind will be peaceful, calm. And this is the sign of Mother Lakshmi. Lakshmi is not just money. Lakshmi is Shantam, Anandam, and infinite resources, no shortage. When you attain the holding on to the truth, purity of mind, follow those yama and niyama, those 5 + 5, 10, you will see. In this Mandukya, Gaudapada is going ahead and explaining with this beautiful poem, is talking about Manodrishyam. This is the 31st word. Manodrishyam. We'll get on to the next part. I think I've given it bigger. Advaita Prakarana. Yeah. Manodrishyam idam dvaitam. Yat kinchit sacharacharam. Manaso hi amani bhavi. Amani bhavi is that oneness, not separation. I'm separate from you. No. Look at, yes, there is a different body, different mind. But look, this is an appearance. Just like the gold ornament, the bangle, the wristwatch, maybe of gold, the necklace, the tiara, the paijib, made of gold, different object. But one thing is constant is the gold. Different forms of waves. But one thing is constant is water. Different body, different name, different form, different characteristics. In samsara, I love that guy, I hate that guy. I don't want to see. Raga, dvesha. Remove that by only knowing consciousness is one in all. And that brings that oneness, which is called no mind, which is because of viveka. Manusyo hi amani bhavi. This amani bhavi. Dvaitam naiva upalabdhate. Notice, he's not saying Dvaitam naiva experience. Experience is different word. Upalabdhate is different. Upalabdhate is a kind of a feeling. I know it. I realize it. Duality is experienced by the mind. And this, there is a beautiful picture was made by Hollywood long time back. Eternal sunshine of a spotless mind. In that picture, they were showing this gentleman, every time morning he will wake up, whatever was in his mind is to get obliterated, a streak thing. And what? Every day is free and happy. No, he doesn't remember his family, children, parent, nothing. Job, proficiency, but his mind is free, fresh. That is beautiful. So in the no mind status, duality is not recognized anymore. The seed of duality does exist in deep sleep. It is basically the fourth state is the Turiya, Mandakya, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, Turiya. Turiya means, you all know it, is 4. But counting 4, when you count Jagrat as 1, Swapna as 2, deep sleep, Sushupti as 3. But originally, the Turiya state is the one which is the seed form and the consciousness which comes into the deep sleep and a deep sleep state where there is duality, but you don't experience it because mind is sleeping. But it is there in a seed form. And the only thing is present is consciousness. And now going to the Swapna and Jagrat, mind and duality starts to play. The ancient yogis and samadhi or meditation, mind becomes no mind. There is a beautiful statement by one of the monks. He said, Advaita Vedanta संसार को व्यवहार के लिए नहीं है. अद्वैत वेदांता आपको निर्वाद बना देता है. Make one with this whole universe. Understanding Advaita and practicing Kriya, that is why it is so powerful. And it just mechanically doing and going into. Even when we attain Samadhi, when we awaken, yes, of course, you will be purified so much and progressively. But when you do it with both, is the ancient India's stating in the Mandaka given. You say, okay, but I experience other than mind things also. Like I'm seeing that flower, seeing that mountain. What is happening if you look carefully? Quick revision comes, the mountain doesn't enter the eye. Light falls on the mountain, light falls into the optic nerve. From there, tiny sparks of electricity from the ray which goes and strikes the neurons and the synapses, makes it and send it to the brain as tiny sparks of electricity. Before that, it was image in your corner. Remember our old session. And that spark of electricity from the brain, how? People don't know as yet. Does the picture in the mind that this is the mountain, this is the rose, this is a girl, this man, how do they do it? They don't. In the Advaita Vedanta explains how, we have talked about it, the consciousness. Now, this world is there around, but that is, you're experiencing it only because of the light. But because of who? Because of the mind. If the mind has not seen a mobile, let's say a wild, very difficult to think, even a child knows mobile, wild mountain, some jungly man who's never seen a mobile. He will say, what is this? He maybe throw it and stamp on it. And if the mind could be turned into a no mind, all mental suffering could be terminated. So Chitya Vritti Nirodhaha is the yogic mention. Make the mind no mind through the meditation state, which is pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Now, we say generally, my mind is restless. Why? Because of that one, because of that person, my husband, my wife, my children, eating up my head. There was a question by somebody. I know I'm Brahman. Somebody from America. I know I'm Brahman. I am Aham Brahmasmi. I know. Why does my son bug me and he doesn't listen to me? The moment you are getting into that question, you are answering now, I'm separate and my son is separate. But the moment you say we are one, compassion comes in, understanding comes in, which the mother has naturally, and then the father also has it. So, in beautiful story of the princess of Kashi, the prince neighboring, there was a function, 5-year-old boy, queen said, let's have the play called Princess of Kashi, in which they had to, just revising for you, you all know the story, but it's very powerful message here and very appropriate. How do we do that? How do we do that? Is the question, no? Understand from here, Princess of Kashi story. The prince grew up, he dressed up at 5 years of age, there was a play, beautiful play. The royal painter came down and made a painting, queen ordered, and it was kept in the palace. Few days later, as the prince started to grow up, it went into the basement in a corner. Prince now 15 years have gone, doing a lot of princely things, grown up, 20-year-old young youth going to be king. One day he was moving around and he happened to go to the basement and he saw this painting. And he saw the date. He said, this is my birthday. And he saw this princess of Kashi, so pretty. I must marry her. I'm in love with her. But he can't tell his parents. The feeling is very shy, but he became quiet. He doesn't do all princely activities, generally trying to stay silent, in love. So one of the wazir, king and queen, try to ask him, he's not replying. One of the ministers says, sir, leave it to me, to the king. I'll go and find out. I know him very well. Goes and asks, hey, prince, what ails thee? What's bothering you? The prince said, what to say? I am in love. He said, very nice. The prime minister said, who is the girl? She is Princess of Kashi. Really? How nice. The royal wedding is on now. We'll do the planning. Where have you met her? No, I didn't meet her. I saw her painting. Saw painting. Okay. Can I see the painting? Actually, it is an old painting. When she was only 5-year-old, she saw pretty. Minister started to wonder, young baby, show me that painting. So the prince takes the minister and in the basement shows the painting. The moment minister sees it, he said, Prince, you better sit down. This is not Princess of Kashi. The prince said, whoever it is, I'm going to marry you. He said, no, prince. And then minister explained. Notice, the moment prince realized, I am that, Tat Tvam Asi, the duality vanished. Duality was there, princess and prince. It vanished. Oh, I am is that. The moment you realize I'm not this mind and the body and the name and the form, and that's the practice what we're doing. Manaso avani bhavi comes in. This is called no mind. Vedanta makes you free. Advaita does not destroy or wipe out the world. Makes you nirbad banadite, makes you detached, and yet very well in it. You are a better husband, better wife, better parent, better child, better student, better professional, because you become limitless and free. You don't want anything from anyone, yet you are giving away. That was the Deepavali I was saying. Generally, we feel I'm so tiny in this world is so big. You start to realize this whole world is because of my consciousness, and I am that consciousness.
It's 12
that
o'clock.
comes in. Realize that infinite time, space, and causation is actually existing within you, not without you. Atma, Anatma. Anatma is lies. Atma is truth. Anatma, when you feel I'm so small, the universe is big, I'm such a tiny. Why are you feeling that? Because you associate yourself with the body and the mind. And Vedantic approach frees you by making you see for what it is. In the yogic way, understand, yogic way erases the samsara from you. TV show, horror movie going on. Yogi will say, close your eyes. Yogi would have told the prince, don't look at that girl, don't look at the picture, forget about her. Or she's already married, something like that. In the Advaita way, the prince was told, you alone is that picture. Beautiful story, so meaningful. So in the Vedantic way, difference between yogi and the Vedantic process is this which you understand, in which in Vedanta makes you free, in a yoga makes you erase the samsara. This is why we tend to run off to Himalayas and shut the mind. It doesn't. This is what the fighter pilots used to do in our briefing. I remember fighter pilots, when they're sitting in the bar and having a drink, they will talk about flying. And when they go to flying, they're supposed to talk about flying now. Instead of flying, they're talking about girls. Good quality of their friends and wives. This is the mistake. And this is Gaudapada says, only way to realize your true self with open eyes. Prince was not told, close your eyes, shut it, not real, with open eyes. And this is why Vivekananda is named as Vivekananda. There's a beautiful poem on this Vivekananda. It says, even in this Anitya Drishyam, in the Anitya world, his Viveka knows the reality. He knows this is not real and that is real. And how, like a child's play, you and I find it so difficult to get into Samadhi. But the great masters do it like a child's play. Why? How do they do that? It goes on to explain in the quick. It is the consciousness alone is the waker, is the dreamer, is the deep sleeper, and is in the form in the Turiya. The fourth is actually the one and alone is the consciousness, in which you come to realize Atma Satyam, Anatma Mithya. Maya is the Turiyam, and reality itself is not the problem, but the knowledge of the reality becomes the enemy of the reality. So when your mind starts to be educated to understand that I am this mind, I'm playing the role of the mind or the role of the play, I'm playing the role of the body, which is changing, body is changing, mind is changing, they are anityam. The nitya is the consciousness alone, the chetana. It cannot change. It is, they're not inimical to each other. Understand this. The rope and the snake, they're not inimical to each other. The clay pot and the clay, not inimical, just understanding. This is called the Viveka. That pot is nothing else but the clay. The golden ornaments, various names and forms, but they're actually all one, gold. All the waves, all the ocean, all the river is one thing called the water. Everything in this world is the consciousness alone. So here, beautiful sloka goes ahead and explains the same thing. Yogis are afraid of this path because it makes them suddenly fear. And Viveka makes you fearless. When Rishi Janak attained the moksha, Ashtavakra, his guru, said, you have become, he did not say you have become mukta, you have become nirvana. He said, from now on, you have become fearless. The knowledge of non-duality leads you to purity, truth, through the Viveka. And Gaudapada suggests Viveka is the answer, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, stay away from the world. But the beauty is with the Viveka, when you understand that, you will get into through the Savikalpa Samadhi to Nirvikalpa Samadhi and stay in it. But knowing in both the time, during and after, you are that one Brahman. In this Viveka way, you are not deluding Samadhi state. You are still going to the Samadhi, but with the knowledge that I'm not this body and the name. In the yogic process, what do? Try to control through the Hatha Yoga, Yama, Niyama, sensual controls, and then Pranayama, breath control, Pratyahara, sense control, Dharana, focusing control, Dhyana, further, and then comes to Dhyana and Samadhi. You know? So you're controlling. But here, what did the Prince of Kashi do? He instantly, Khule nayan pe dekho. This is what Paramahansa Ramakrishna say. What kind of a God is it? That only when I close my eyes, I see God. When I open my eyes, God is not there. When you and I are operating today in our world, anybody you see, look, the godliness, the godliness, the godness, the goddessness in her, in him. And do that worship silently, not showfully, but genuinely, always thinking of it. There's a divine presence in me. We have been linked because we got work to do in our life. The understanding Advaita, then Dvaita, dualism to Advaita is through the Viveka, and automatically takes you through the Samadhi and the practices. That's how we combine the two. I hope our 31st and 32nd stotra gives you a lot of clarity. Jai Guru, I finish. Should you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. Any doubts, any question?
So, sir, is Advaita very simple in accepting that Tattvam Asi, everyone is God? If we come and realize these two statements or even more perfectly, is that all?
Yeah, your question is, let me understand, that if...
I mean, Advaita seems to make the process very simple. Yes. So we have to just realize the original aphorisms like Tattvam Asi, everyone is God, and I am that. So if we understand these statements completely and come to a level of acceptance with this, is that all?
So I'm delighted to see Rajiv sir and everybody, Indira ma'am, I can hear your voice. The journey is being successful. You're absolutely true. So the 4 Mahavakya, there are many other Mahavakyas in the Upanishad, but the 4 are the principal Mahavakya. First is Prajnana Brahman. This is called Lakshana. It tells you that the consciousness alone is Brahman. Then it goes on to say, Aham Brahmasmi, I am that Brahman. How is it I am the Brahman? I am this body, the name, I got so many problems, I got this raga, dvesha. How can I? No, what I am doing is I am identifying myself with my name, body, and form. And that is why I am not. But the moment I start to practice, even just by repeating and realizing, reading, Shravanam, Mananam, and then Nididhyasanam, it becomes stronger and stronger. And then Shwetaketu is asking Father, I have learned so much. Father said, did you learn that thing? By learning that, you will learn everything. Shwetaketu said, no. And this is where Father goes ahead and tells him, Tat Tvamasi, you are that. And the moment you are everything and you realize that everything, then nobody is separate. Dualism vanishes, you attain moksha. And the last is, this is Tattvamasi, is Upadesha Vakya. The Aham Brahmasmi is you're searching for Brahman. And I am Atman Brahman is the Upalabdhi. I am realizing it. I am the one. These are the 4 main. You're absolutely true. This is what the Abhyasa for us. And we do include in that the yogic principles. And they are included in the Shankaracharya has given that 15 steps, as again 8 of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and 15 steps in which also goes into the same status, but through all this discrimination. But the beauty is, in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, you have to follow each one of them. In the Shankaracharya 15 step of Advaita meditation, even if you do just one of them, you will attain that moksha. So same way, those 4 Mahavakyas, even if we understand one, hold on to that firmly, read, practice, and keep on telling I myself. So how is this whole world can be me? Just think, Rajiv, can I see this world, hear this world, taste this world, touch this world, smell this world if I'm not conscious? So what is essence in me is not my body, not my name. They are going to go, but the consciousness always remains. So a beautiful answer is that when we die, our body stays. Body doesn't vanish. So that is remaining. But something goes away, and that's called the Sukshma Sharira. Sukshma Sharira has got the mind. That Mano, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankar, all 4 are there in the Sukshma Sharira. And consciousness. But the consciousness was not a part of the body. This is something very important for us to understand. I am a conscious being. That means as if I have a heart, I have a lung, I have a brain, I have mind, I have intelligence, I have memory, I have consciousness. No. The understanding by Vedanta, Mandakya tells us, the consciousness itself is you. So when Sukshma Sharira goes away, Mano Buddhi Chitta Ahankar goes away, consciousness is there in that dead body, consciousness is there in that wooden table, only thing it cannot express because Sukshma Sharira is gone. Consciousness is always there, and the consciousness itself takes the form of the body. And consciousness is Brahman. How does Brahman do that? All these mountains and lakes and deserts, and you and me, consciousness is Brahman through the play of Prakriti, Maya. This is what we covered last time of the Kashmiri Shaivism. So this Maya makes the Brahman taste the world by giving different forms. And our journey is from that Maya form to realize who we really are. And that is the journey of this sadhana. Thank you. That was a very good question.
Thank you, sir. So what stops a Advaita yogi from realizing these four Mahavakyas, what comes in between the normal state that a yogi is and coming to the final realization of these four Mahavakyas? What are the obstructions?
The very simple understanding, as we talked about it a lot, the difference primarily between yogi and an Advaitavadi. Primarily, Advaitavadi is talking about know it, realize it, discriminate it through viveka, understand. That's it. In the yogic, talking about through the body, through the mind, through the prana, that is pranayam, so the specific with asana, this is through the body and the mind, and training the mind to reach the no mind state. They are also reaching the no mind state, but it is a experiences to knowledge in the samadhi, but that knowledge has a beginning, has an end. So those of you who have heard about, there's a very famous monk who was about to attain enlightenment, and then Jadabharata, there was a deer which came in and fell down. It was an arrow had pierced, one of the king had shot, and he kind of reprieved and made the deer okay, and he became very fond of the deer. And the deer and Jadabharata started to sleep together, eat together, became just like, and it is said that at the end of it, he thought about the deer so much. This is that body-mind association still, that when he was reborn, he was born as a deer. This is what at the end of all, serious sessions in the monks' ashrama, at the end, they tell you this story of the Jadabharata, that remember to remove that attachment. That only happens when you know. Attachment comes from mind. Mind does the assessment, I like, I dislike. Dislike, I want to stay away. Like, I want to have that, or I want to, this is mine. So that is the dispersion. So the main difference is the understanding in the yogic principles through the body-mind function. And here is the viveka, the consciousness itself alone is the one, just knowing it. And you will realize as you proceed, you will have some beautiful experiences. But remember not to hold on those experiences. You will see divine light. You will see divine presence of the mothers. You will find divine sound. Pranavadhvani. Many of you are hearing it, I know, seeing it. But you know, this is not it. It's just little beautiful. You will see visions of things and you think, I'm doing so well. Now, don't let that dissuade you. Hold on to that till I attain oneness. And then all of them, all the waves in the ocean are one with me because I'm one water. I know it, one consciousness with everyone. So this identification is the separation. Separation is away from oneness. I hope that answers.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Akasha Shanti, Prithvi Shanti, Vayu Shanti, Agnyaya Shanti, Jalaspataya Shanti, Go Shanti, Uttaradesha Shanti, Dakshinaya Shanti, Paschimaya Shanti, Purvaya Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Rub your palm, send the energy of all that we have earned through this palm, sending it to the world. And there is plenty, infinite sources are available to energize us and give us more and more wisdom, knowledge, and oneness amongst all. Om. Feel the tingling of the palms, sending up with the energy. May the Divine Mother, Krishna, Babaji, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, our Gurudevas, be with us, be in our consciousness, Chetana, every moment of our life, and make us realize the purpose, the journey for which we are born in this life. Check.